I'd like to talk about TV, films and comics on this channel, and today we're going to talk about Multiversity, the Deluxe Edition by Grant Morrison. In Multiversity by Grant Morrison, you get a collection of the Multiversity storyline from 2014-2015. In this, you have a monitor, Nick Uton, who believes something is wrong, and there is some with the multiverse, and you get taken away on an adventure through the 52 different worlds that associate inhabit the DC multiverse. Each one is presented as a separate comic book, but they do all link together. I'm struggling to try and describe in detail how that works because it is such a complex thing when you're reading the book. You really need to sort of have your brain screwed in to understand it. But essentially what Grant Morrison has tried to do is take all of the continuity from various areas of the DC universe and smush it all together to try and make it make sense. He tried almost like create a unified theory for the DC multiverse. And for the most part it works if you're along for the ride. If you sort of lose your place at any point, you might find you have to go back and read a section again to try and sort of keep track. What this story does have in it though, that is not one of the sort of best points of it, is in the middle of the book you have a breakdown of the 52 worlds and which sort of DC continuity or let's say story series fits into that. So you've got one for the current continuity, you've got one for say Fawcett comic characters, you've got one for where the Justice Lords, isn't it? Crime Lords, the Ultraman and that, where they live, and so on and so forth. And it gives you a nice little rundown of who they are. You get a nice little bit of artwork, and you get a number allocating which world they live in on. And also you get the best part of this book, which is the multiverse map, where you see where the Speed Force sits, you see where sort of the New Gods sit, you see the Source War, and you see where all the various areas and places that are mentioned in the DC universe sit and fit together. And it's a beautiful sort of infographic that you get there, sort of this map, this infographic. I see. I'm not sure if they put it as a poster format or a print, but really they should, because I know so many people would like it. The story itself, though, I wasn't very taken with it. I think it's a Marmite story. You'll either love it or you hate it. It just got too complex for me. Finished it, read it, and don't want to read it again. Just not that sort of overwhelmed by it. The book itself has got a lovely presentation. It's in the large deluxe format. You get a nice glossy dust jacket, and on the inside of the dust jacket you get the map of the multiverse repeated there for you, so you can lay that out or frame it or do whatever you want with it. You also get some nice explanations of the various spaceships that they use to traverse the multiverse, and a description of the various sort of zones and areas. The binding itself is a glued binding. You get a bit of gutter loss, but not much, to be honest, because of the page count in there, and somehow it seems to work. So you've got nice printing, but it is on quite thin paper. That may explain for the lack of gutter loss, I don't know. But the paper does feel quite flimsy compared to other prints that I've had in the deluxe format from DC. But it's all nice and clear, and you can understand what you're looking at, and it doesn't feel cheap in any way. You get extras at the back. You get a nice cover gallery, and the cover gallery is good. You get some sketches, which is just pretty standard stuff now in the deluxe formats, and that's pretty much it for the book. The price range of this, I picked mine up for £24, which I think is a reasonable price for this book for its size. It seems to have gone up in price now to £40, but they brought out a paperback version. But to be honest, I think if you're buying it and you're putting it in a collection, either get it digitally, save yourself a fair bit of money, or wait for the price to drop. You'll just have to either shop around or put it in a wish list somewhere and just have a notification for when the price drops. This isn't a £40 book, not in a long shot. It is not a £40 book. It's a £20-ish book. 24 I think is the most, or 25 is the most I would have paid for it. But of course, you know, buy it if you want to, but I just think there's better things to buy out there. If you're spending £40, I would say buy the Planetary Omnibus. You get a lot more book for your money and a much more enjoyable science fiction story as well. But no, this is worth picking up if you like Grant Morrison stuff, if you want it in your collection, and if you want a nice sort of presented read. Look, let me know your views on the story. Did you love it? Did you think it was an absolute mess and just too difficult to understand? Please feel free to leave a thumbs up, a like, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.